welcome back to the Constitutionals podcast. I'm your host, Chad White. If you didn't know, this is a podcast for the website, cpluscomedy.com. Like I just said, it's a website. Go there. Welcome back in. I noticed. I was looking at the peaks on a Adobe Audition here from the microphone. And boy, when I hit that if, ooh, daddy, it went well past 12. It was so hot that I think I usually keep it at negative 12 because that is the broadcast standard. No big deal. Yeah, I used to work in television. Keywords, used to. Hey, let's get in. Let me go ahead and introduce this. I'm your Chad White. If you didn't know, this is a premier podcast full of websites, cpluscomedy.com. Like I just said, it's a website. Go there. We do things. Mostly, this is the entertainment business news show. We talk about the entertainment business part of the news. 317. This is 317.5. This is one of those midweek episodes. Usually, it only come about because we have a very special interview. Plural. Yes, that's indeed true. You know the junket life. That's me, Daddy. That's me, Daddy. This is the point where I would usually restart, but I'm not going to. I won't be doing that today. Here I have special interviews with very important people. Andre Hyland, who you might know from such projects as Search Party and Barry and 10-Year-Old Tom. Michael Angarano, who you might know from such amazing and stupendous work in the TV show Minx. It's a great show. And the movie Oppenheimer. And also, and I hope he's okay with me saying this, Sky High. So if you were a child of a certain age, or if you were a child who was too old for Sky High, then I have a suggestion for you. And finally, Stephanie Sue, who you might know from everything, including Kite Man, hell yeah, Fall Guy, Blue Eye Samurai, Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, if that's your thing, Everything Everywhere All at Once, and Joyride. She's all over the place. She's a fantastic actress. I'm tripping over my words. She tripped over her words in this interview. You'll see. I talked to all three of them about the Peacock show Laid, which I can't understand if it's all caps the way it's supposed to be written out, or if I could just traditionally write out capital L, lowercase AID. If you don't know what Laid is a show about a young lady who's just trying to get some. A young lady in her, 20s, 30s, trying to date somebody. I'm trying to dance over the story because there is an actual story here. Here's a log line from IMDb. Men in love are dying in unusual ways for the same woman. She must come to terms with her complicated past. So you get to meet the men that she dated and why they matter to her. There's a lot of great famous people in this. A lot of great funny people is what I'm going to say. A lot of great funny people in this. Simi Liu, Zasha Mamet, Uli, Lata Kekefu. If you know that name, he's from Young Rock. Tall, handsome guy. Who else is in this? John Early, Olivia Holt, Kate Berlant. Oh, at this point, I'm just naming people. Laid's going to be on Peacock, I believe, December 19th. Thursday, December 19th. But hey, the embargo for these interviews was up yesterday, and I cannot get in trouble like I did last time. We had a wonderful time having our conversations. And there are moments when I think, why talk to somebody if we're not going to have a good time? This is very true. And I was looking over the footage from from these interviews, and if you've been listening for a long time, I don't cut anything. So at the top of both of these interviews is just a lot of straight up taken down interviews. Just a lot of me going, this is pretty stupid that we're doing it like this. And you only get 5 minutes. You got to talk and talk and talk, and you got to say the same things. And I'd be like, yeah. But that's just how it is. I'm just one of the best out there. When it comes to asking questions, I just feel as though why have the let's all why pretend that we're not even like this is like normal. You have to have a condensed conversation. So let's just have fun with it. Listen, if you want to see a video version of this interview, which I urge you to, because this audio is not doing it justice, and quite frankly, I have to fill out 10 I have to fill out 10 minutes of conversation of like this just to pad out, just to get to like at least in a releasable 20-minute episode. If you want to see, the thing is, Chad 10 years ago would not have done this. When C Plus Comedy is 11 years old. 10 years ago when I was getting my first interviews, I was so nervous. I was like, what do I ask these people? Writing things down. I don't do any of that anymore. I just ask whatever comes to my head. And yeah, if there's a theme, I have a theme about or whatever. I try to watch the show or movie or stand-up special, what have you. But I just want to make it unique and want to make it fun, because there's no point in doing it if I'm just like, and when did you start in comedy? It sounds like Droopy Dog, but if he was a little bit more energetic. I was going to do a Droopy Dog impression, and I decided not to. If you want to see a video version of this show, go to youtube.com/C Plus Comedy. There's a playlist called The Interviews, and you can see me talk to every famous person that I've spoken to in the last 4 years. Because for 5 years before that, it was all audio only. So you can see the video versions of those. YouTube.com/C Plus Comedy is also where you can see a video version of the podcast, The Constitutionals, the entertainment business news podcast, as well as LinkedIn Logs, the jobs podcast, and Late Night Lately, the late night show. Subscribe to those podcasts wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us on TikTok, Instagram, Blue Sky, and Facebook at C Plus Comedy. Me at Chad Black White. Watch Laid on Peacock. It looks to be funny. Thank you so much for listening. Support these people. Support me. And I'm going to hang up. Okay. I'll see you later. Bye. Hello, fellas. How's it going?
Hello. Pretty
good. How are you?
I'm all right. Just getting ready to ask you some of the dumbest questions you'll be asked all day long.
Perfect.
Love that.
I'm sure this junket has been, pressing and everything. Not to mince my words, but how's it? You have to come up with all these answers on the spot. What's it been like for you all day long, just doing this?
Oh, we just have a menu with prearranged answers. It's just yes, no's also. So
it's also early. It's like early for us anyway. Like we've only been here for what, like 40 minutes so far.
Yeah.
But we've done like 10 interviews, and your early junket vibes are like you're still finding out what your answer is, and I'm not trying to steal from what he's saying.
Yeah.
But also trying to steal a little bit of what he's saying.
Yeah.
And use it in my answer.
So you might end up, as you said, give us the dumbest questions, but we may have already given the dumbest answers.
Right.
We've been able to sculpt them a little bit since then.
Whoever uses the phrase like we were like a family on set first is the true winner of the day.
Basically, we've used that like 4 times already.
Well, I'm glad I could be the fifth. So making this show, it's very funny, at least in the trailer. I couldn't see the screeners. The website would not work for me, but I'm so
That's
excited.
Michael's fault. He's in
Yeah.
charge of the
We'll
the
send you
tech.
another
He
link.
does
I'll
the
get
web
get
stuff
another
for
link out.
Oh God, I would hope so. What was it like? Just making a show. I think it's like Late is just so different from any comedy that's on right now because it's got this murder aspect, and you're tying it to this poor woman who just wants to get out and have some fun. So what was it like making that part of this show?
Yeah, it has a good hook. The show is like has a very good natural motor, and I
Mhm.
think you'll just want to find out why this is happening and how this happens. And then sneakily, it's actually very funny and also grounded in moments. So you're right. It's like it's a very unique tone, and I think that's part of what is nice and refreshing about it is that it's not something, it's not something you've exactly seen before, but it has elements of things that you've seen.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree with that.
Well, there you go. It's perfect. So Andre, when you're doing comedy on a show like this, I've seen you before on podcasts, and I've seen you as like a character actor. When you're doing a show like this, do you have to feel like you rein yourself in when you're trying to stay in this grounded world, or are there moments where you go, I can be a wacky comedic type person?
Well, I think in this show, like it's more the rhythm of the show more than like, I mean, the tone's all part of it, but as far as being like sort of more wacky or something like that, I feel that like hmm, the writing's so particular in this. It's about like finding the rhythm and just making sure you fit that, and that's how I kind of apply to anything I'm in, really. But this one was so particular in the writing. That was the challenge for me, is just sort of fitting into that, and I think it all worked out. But like that was more it, rather than like, do I think I'm being too big or too small for this? It was
Mhm.
like just finding, it was like Goldilocks trying to find the right amount
Yeah.
for this world, because I think the show is grounded, but it's grounded in its own style. Like it's still not like the real world, but
You're
it is
right. It
grounded.
is
Yeah.
heightened. Yeah.
Yeah, it is heightened, but like, but I think it has to be grounded for like the dark aspects of the show to be impactful. Because if it's too
Yeah.
cartoonish, that stuff's not going to play, and vice versa. So
Yeah.
I hope that answered your question.
It does. It's perfect. Michael, you've done, uh, regular comedies, single cameras, multicams. Which one do you prefer? Do you miss like the world of like Will and Grace, or are you happy to be in this single cam space?
Yeah, like single it's a fun question. Obviously, they both have different merits that makes them both fun because single cam you have a little bit more flexibility in terms of, like you could have a sex scene in a single cam and you could curse. It's a little bit more grounded, and sitcom feels more theatrical and more heightened. And what's interesting about this is Sally was a writer on Will and Grace, and I felt the
Oh, cool.
way Laid was written had a lot of elements of like a broadcast sitcom, and it was sort of a hybrid cross between single cam and sitcom style. Even as much as like we would get alts in a very similar way you used to get an alt on a sitcom. Like in a
Mhm.
sitcom, you do a take and then they say, okay, say this now. So, you get different alts for different lines. And we would get an alt revision page the night before we would do a scene, and in a very similar style to, what a sitcom was like. So I think this show is actually for me the most interesting mix of those, of single cam and multicam.
I totally agree. Yeah, it does feel like a hybrid of multicam, single cam. And I guess to go back to your question earlier, it was the sort of multicam part of the DNA of it that was very new to me. And that's
Mm.
sort of more what I was like, okay, I got to get my head around this.
Yeah.
And so
Well,
that was new and cool for me to get to experience.
I'm super excited to watch the show along with the rest of the world. Peacock and every streaming service needs a show like this. Thank you guys so much for sitting down with me. This has been a pleasure. I love you guys. You're both great actors, and
Thanks, man.
can't
Yeah,
wait for the
thanks,
show.
dude. Thank
Very
you.
welcome.
Not a dumb interview. Great,
Yeah, it was a
great,
good interview.
great
Yeah.
question.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Thanks.
I did it for you.
You gave us smart questions.
Yeah.
Hi, Stephanie. How are you doing?
Hi. Good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much. I know these things are a pain, so we're going to get you through as quickly as possible.
I feel pretty okay. I'm
Oh,
having a good time. It's a big reuniting, uh-oh. But see, then this is what happens. You start to lose words. You enter a portal.
yeah, I'm sorry to do that to you. And also, I just want to tell you, you're not back on set. I know I look like Uli. It's great. Yeah, we're both big, tall, handsome men. It's fantastic. So, whatever.
Yeah, sure.
In the past, like I think like month, I've seen three of your latest comedy movies, and now you have this show. I'm just thinking, for you as somebody who's an actor, where do your comedy chops come from?
Oh man. I was thinking about this recently because no one in my family is in the arts. Oh, there's a cat. What's the
Yeah,
cat's name?
that's Nova. There's a dog too.
Nova.
He's
Okay, I thought I saw a bottom creature and then I saw the top creature. Really
yeah.
happy for you. I love creatures. Okay. Yes. Oh, wait, why? Yeah. No one in my family is in the arts, so I don't know. At a very early age, I was a little bit of a ham and I don't quite know where it comes from. But I did have this theory recently, I think I think Asian people are really funny. I was
Yeah.
in I was in Asia and I was like, okay, wait a second. I thought that, you know, I was fed all these like tropes of how we're quiet or like, like by the book, good students. And then I was in Asia and I was like, y'all are crazy. This is like you are hilarious. There's like physical comedy. Everyone's just like making jokes. And I'm remembering this restaurant when I grew up that was like a mom and pop like noodle shop and it was called Leave Me Alone. Like that is comedy. You open a restaurant and you're going to call it Leave Me Alone. That's
Yeah.
hilarious.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, maybe somewhere in my ancestors is actually a little bit of funny.
Yeah, I think so because seeing you, I wasn't able to watch any of the show, unfortunately, but watching the trailer and then comparing the same kind of presence you have in a movie like Joyride, I mean, it's just this like, it is not an insult, like dorky, high energy, very high spirited, and it makes it seem like, we don't have a lot of Asian-led comedies on television at the moment. And it's great to see that, we can have somebody who looks like you be the exact same person as anybody in any other TV show that doesn't have anybody that looks like you.
Totally. Yeah, it's wild that I feel just so grateful that we're here and I
Mhm.
get to be a part of that change. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. What was making the show like? Because I think this is one of your first shows in a long time. I think, is this your first single camera? What was it like for you doing this?
We actually shot with three cameras, which was so fun and so nuts, but it is my first time leading a show. And I think that that responsibility and the joy of that was getting to make an environment that I really believe in. And so much of that I really learned from the Daniels on working on Everything Everywhere,
Mhm.
which is like, how do you in a high stakes environment create an environment and collaborative environment that is fun and joyful and that like everyone feels more or less equal and feels like they have a creative say, whether it's like the way you build a prop or like where you turn the lights, like knowing that we also support you and want you to get to play. So that I think was the most special thing about having this opportunity was that creating an environment that felt aligned with, our collaborative values and inviting there's so many cameos up the wazoo in this show. And so many of the people are either friends I've known for like 15 years, like coming up, nobody knew who we were, or even people who I just met like during the awards cycle for Everything Everywhere, of just like falling in love with their work and being like, wow, I hope we get to get to collaborate one day, and then having this perfect opportunity to get to invite them to come play.
That's so lovely to hear. I guess my last question for you would be: did you feel a sense of weight since this is your first show leading? Would you feel a sense of weight on your shoulders as you know you had to take the helm?
I think definitely. Yeah, I think the honest answer would be definitely. And I think that there are so many things I'm proud of, so many things I would maybe tweak if we had another chance to do it.
Mhm.
But I think it's like, I wore so many hats, and you have to just really, like, when I'm an actor, I have to put all the producerial stuff, all the like dinner hosting person stuff to the side, and completely trust in my team to just like play and fly and surrender into it. And thankfully, the core cast is so amazing, but also Nanachka and Sally were such incredible collaborators that, when we got the scripts, we would all do notes and have note sessions together so that when we showed up to set, I could just like be an actor and they could just direct, showrun, etc. So
Yeah.
we really had a special collaborative relationship that allowed us to just get to take a big swing together.
That's beautiful to hear. Stephanie, I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for your time, and good luck on the show. I'm glad.
Thank
I'm
you.
happy to see it. I'm glad you're here.
I hope your animals like it too.
They will. I trust me.